Commander Zefkar watched the tactical display with satisfaction as the deployment pod streaked toward the blue-green world below. After 17 conquered systems, the routine had become almost boring. Drop the Vorthik, watch civilizations crumble, collect resources. The humans wouldn't even require a full cycle. The beast is approaching optimal impact coordinates, reported Lieutenant Vextal, her scaled fingers dancing across holographic controls. Suburban sector, minimal military presence. Perfect for psychological warfare. The Vorthik itself paced. Within its reinforced containment unit, 12 feet of bioengineered death, wrapped in midnight black chitin. Its 6 eyes burned with predatory intelligence, while razor-sharp mandibles clicked in anticipation. For 3 generations, Kefmori scientists had perfected this creature, combining the most lethal traits from apex predators across known space. Nothing had ever challenged its dominance. The pod struck Earth with the force of a meteor, carving a smoking crater through Maple Street in suburban Milwaukee. Windows shattered for blocks as the containment unit split open like a metallic flower. Steam hissed from the wreckage as the Vorthik emerged, stretching to its full terrifying height. Mrs. Henderson's orange tabby cat, Mittens, had been napping on the warm hood of a Honda Civic when the commotion started. The explosion merely earned an annoyed ear flick. Now, as debris settled and car alarms wailed, Mittens noticed something interesting. The smoking wreckage looked wonderfully warm. The Vorthik's multiple eyes swept the destruction, cataloging potential threats and escape routes. Its genetic programming kicked in established dominance, spread fear, eliminate resistance. A low, bone-rattling growl escaped its throat, designed to trigger primal terror in any creature that heard it. Mittens hopped down from the car and padded through the debris, Field stepping delicately around twisted metal. The warmth emanating from the crash site felt divine against his fur. He approached the towering alien predator without hesitation, found a particularly cozy spot near its massive clawed feet, and curled up into a perfect orange circle. Then he began to purr. The Vorthik's growl faltered. In 17 star systems, across countless worlds, no creature had ever responded to its presence with ... contentment. The massive predator tilted its head, 6 eyes focusing on the small orange anomaly that had just claimed its territory. As it, a napping spot. Dr. Elena Vasquez pressed her face against the emergency shelter window, tablet clutched in trembling hands. As Earth's leading xenobiologist, she'd theorized about first contact her entire career. She'd never imagined it would involve her neighbor's cat treating an alien war machine like a heated pet bed. The creature appears to be experiencing confusion, she whispered into her recording device. Subject exhibits classic predator assessment behavior: head tilting, visual scanning, threat evaluation. However, the cat's complete lack of fear response seems to be creating a cognitive loop. The Vorthik had been standing motionless for 27 minutes, processing an impossible scenario. Every instinct screamed that the small orange creature should be fleeing, cowering, or at minimum, acknowledging its presence. Instead, Mittens had actually stretched out more comfortably, one paw twitching in a dream chase. Commander Zethkar's voice crackled through the atmospheric interference. "Report, Beast. Why haven't you begun the subjugation protocol?" The Vorthik's mandibles clicked uncertainly. How could it explain that a creature roughly 1,000th its size had somehow claimed dominance through complete indifference? The biological imperatives, hardwired into its DNA, had no reference point for this situation. Mittens chose that moment to wake up, stretching with the languid confidence that only cats possess. He looked up at the towering alien, slow blinked once, the universal feline gesture of trust and affection, then began grooming his left paw with the focus of a Zen master. "Fascinating," Dr. Vasquez breathed. The cat is displaying completely normal territorial behavior. It's not recognizing the creature as a threat, because the creature isn't acting like one. It's just ... standing there. The Vorthik attempted an intimidating step forward. Mittens, without looking up from his grooming, simply stretched one leg out further, effectively blocking the creature's path. The message was unmistakable. "Excuse me, I'm comfortable here." Something unprecedented happened in the apex predator's consciousness doubt. Every successful hunt in its genetic memory had relied on the target's fear. Prey animals fled, fought, or froze. They didn't casually obstruct your movement while maintaining perfect grooming standards. The creature's head lowered, bringing its 6 eyes level with the cat. Mittens finally paused his grooming to meet the alien's gaze. For a moment, two apex predators studied each other across the vast gulf of space and evolution. Then, Mittens did something that would reshape interstellar warfare forever. He headbutted the Vorthik's nearest eye stalk with gentle affection, marking it with his scent and claiming this massive creature as part of his territory. The Vorthik's threatening rumble transformed into something resembling a confused whimper. Lieutenant Vextal's talons scraped nervously against her console as she monitored the situation below. "Commander, the beast's bioreadings are ... unusual. Stress hormones are spiking, but not in the typical pre-hunt pattern. It's displaying markers consistent with territorial uncertainty." Commander Zethkar's crest flared in irritation. "Impossible. The Vorthik has never shown uncertainty. It's the perfect killing machine." But perfection, as it turned out, had its limitations. The Vorthik had been engineered to dominate through fear, to establish hierarchy through intimidation. It had no programming for dealing with a creature that simply refused to participate in the dominance game. Mittens had adopted what Dr. Vasquez privately dubbed strategic nonchalance. When the Vorthik attempted to mark territory by gouging deep scratches into concrete, Mittens would immediately find the exact spot and begin sharpening his own claws there. When the creature released pheromones designed to trigger flight responses, Mittens would respond by rolling onto his back and exposing his belly, the ultimate display of comfort and trust. "The cat is essentially gaslighting a galactic super-weapon," Dr. Vasquez murmured into her tablet. "It's redefined the encounter from apex predator versus prey to fellow territorial resident asserting cohabitation rights. The most unnerving development was the Vorthik's eating behavior. The creature's hunting instincts required it to consume fresh prey to maintain psychological dominance. But every time it moved to hunt, Mittens would appear exactly where it intended to step, purring expectantly. The massive predator found itself paralyzed by an emotion its species had never evolved to process: the desire not to step on something small and trusting. By the third day, the Vorthik had stopped eating entirely. Mrs. Henderson, blissfully unaware of the interstellar crisis unfolding in her backyard, continued her daily routine. She'd venture out twice a day to feed Mittens, treating the 12-foot alien war machine with the same pleasant indifference she showed the neighbors' garden gnomes. "There's my good kitty," she'd coo, setting down a bowl of fancy feast while the most feared creature in 17 star systems watched from 3 feet away. "And I suppose you're hungry too, sweetie," she'd add, leaving a second bowl near the Vorthik's claws. The creature had initially recoiled from the offering, but hunger was beginning to override dignity. The small portions of processed meat smelled adequate, not the fresh terror-seasoned prey its instincts demanded, but sustenance nonetheless. "Commander," Vextal reported with growing alarm, "the beast is accepting food offerings from the native. It's eating from a bowl decorated with cartoon fish." Zethkar's mandibles ground together audibly. 3 days and their ultimate weapon had been reduced to a confused pet. "Prepare a recovery team," he snarled. "We're extracting the Vorthik before this gets worse." But some things, once changed, couldn't be unchanged. And Mittens was just getting started. Asterisk. The recovery team's descent was interrupted by something unprecedented in Kethmori. Military history. Their apex predator was playing. Mittens had discovered that the Vorthic's massive claws created fascinating shadows when the morning sun hit them at the right angle. The cat's instinctive pouncing behavior had triggered something deep in the alien creature's neural pathways, not hunting instincts, but something older and more fundamental. The joy of movement without purpose, action without consequence. "I, the void," whispered recovery team leader Crixenel as he watched through his scope. "It's batting at the creature with its appendages, and the Vorthic is ... responding?" Indeed, the 12-foot terror of the galaxy was cautiously moving its claws in response to Mittens' playful swats, creating new shadow patterns for the cat to chase. Each successful catch earned an encouraging chirp from Mittens and the Vorthix. Stress indicators continued dropping to levels not seen since its larval stage. Dr. Vasquez observed the interaction with growing wonder. "It's not just play," she realized aloud. "The cat is teaching it that interaction doesn't have to be about dominance. This creature has probably never experienced non-competitive social engagement." Commander Zethkar's voice cut through the COMM static. "All teams, abort recovery. New priority. Eliminate the native creature. It's corrupting our weapon." But the recovery team hesitated. The Vorthic's bio-readings showed something their scientists had thought impossible. The creature was healthier than it had been in years. Stress markers that had been elevated since birth were normalizing. Neural activity showed patterns associated with learning and adaptation rather than mere killing instinct. Mittens, sensing the change in atmosphere as armed Kethmori troops descended, did something that cemented his legend across the galaxy. He walked directly to the Vorthic's feet, sat down, and began that peculiar cat behavior known as loafing, tucking his paws beneath his body in a posture of complete trust and relaxation. The message was unmistakable. "This is my friend now." The Vorthic's response surprised everyone, including itself. The massive creature lowered its body, creating a protective circle around the small orange cat. For the first time in its engineered existence, it wasn't reacting to a threat assessment or genetic programming. It was choosing to protect something it cared about. "Stand down," came a new voice over the Admiral Vex Mara, Supreme Commander of the Kethmori fleet. "I want to understand what's happening here." The recovery team lowered their weapons as their commander materialized via emergency teleport. Admiral Vex Mara was a seasoned veteran who'd witnessed the Vorthic's deployment across 17 worlds. She'd never seen the creature exhibit protective behavior toward anything except itself. "Report," she commanded, studying the unprecedented scene. Team leader Crixenel struggled for words. "Admiral, the native creature appears to have domesticated our weapon." Mittens chose that moment to stand up, stretch with feline elegance, and begin grooming the Vorthic's nearest claw. The massive predator held perfectly still, allowing this tiny creature to clean between its razor-sharp talons with the same casual confidence it might show while grooming its own paw. Admiral Vex Mara watched in fascination. In 30 years of military service, she'd never seen anything like it. 6 months later, the Kethmori Empire faced an unprecedented decision. The Vorthic, their ultimate weapon, had become something entirely new, not just a killer, but a thinking, choosing being capable of growth beyond its programming. Dr. Vasquez had been recruited as an advisor, her small apartment replaced by a proper research facility where she could study what she dubbed the Milwaukee Incident. Her findings had revolutionized understanding of consciousness across 3 species. "The cat didn't defeat the predator," she explained to the assembled Kethmori leadership via quantum communication. "It offered it a choice: continue being a weapon or discover what it might become as an individual. Admiral Vex Mara stood in the converted cargo bay that now served as the Vorthic's habitat. The creature had grown sleeker, its movements more fluid and purposeful. The constant tension that had marked its previous existence had been replaced by something resembling contentment. Mittens, now wearing a tiny translator collar, a gift from Kethmori scientists, supervised the installation of new environmental systems with feline authority. "The perimeter security needs work," he announced, his purr adding harmonic undertones to the translation. "And the food dispensers should be lower. Some of us aren't giants." The Vorthic's response rumbled through the deck plating. "Agreed, small. Teacher. Comfort enhances efficiency." Commander Zyethkar, stripped of rank but granted clemency, worked as an assistant researcher. "I still don't understand how a creature weighing less than our standard ammunition defeated our most sophisticated creation." "Because," Admiral Vex Mara said, watching Mittens direct the placement of a new scratching post that the Vorthic would undoubtedly help him test, "it didn't try to defeat anything. It simply refused to acknowledge that they were enemies." The implications had rippled across the Empire. 3 conquered worlds had already requested to establish cultural exchange programs rather than face military occupation. The concept of power through acceptance rather than domination was spreading faster than any weapon ever had. Mrs. Henderson, now living in a comfortable retirement funded by grateful Kethmori scientists, visited the facility weekly. She still treated the Vorthic like an oversized neighborhood cat, bringing homemade cookies and asking about its day. The creature had learned to modulate its voice to frequencies that wouldn't shatter human eardrums when responding. "You know," Mittens said, settling down for his afternoon nap against his large friend's side, "the galaxy is a lot more interesting when you stop trying to conquer it." The Vorthic's response vibrated with something that might have been laughter. "Indeed, small teacher, though I suspect you conquered it anyway, one head bump at a time." As the 2 unlikely friends settled into their daily rest, 3 species contemplated a new definition of strength: the confidence to be exactly who you are, regardless of who expects you to be someone else. And somewhere in suburban Milwaukee, a scratching post designed for a 12-foot alien predator stood as a monument to the power of simply refusing to be afraid. Asterisk.